Okay, it's 8 o'clock, so we'll get started. We'll now call the Redevelopment Commission to order. May 13th, 2025. At this time, we'll take roll call. Teresa Basinger,
Present.
Frank Kessler,
Present.
John Myers, Michael Schrader, Jill Western,
Here.
and I'm here. Okay, 2026 budget review approval.
So, as we discussed at the last meeting, Frank, Teresa, myself, and Tamla, since Tiffany was out of town, got together last week, right? Last week, to go over the numbers for 2026, which was just handed out to you, and I emailed to you earlier, and Tiffany emailed out a cleaner version of it. Overall, each one of the funds didn't change much. We made a couple minor tweaks here and there, but by and large, there's not much of any change. So, do you want me to go line by line through this, or just take it at face value?
Just the highlights.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the highlights here, notably, you've got 4502, which is the main union TIF. That's where most of the funds are. On top, board members budgeted at $6,000. That, as a reminder, is that those funds would likely be transferred to 4,500 by year end, depending on how much needs to be covered, in order to keep expenditures coming from the correct funds. 4,500 is just general expenses. 4502, of course, is TIF related expenses. That's where the TIF revenues go into. No changes in legal services. Again, that's so variable. We felt that that was important to leave the same. Consultant engineering, with the engineering that might be happening with our two road projects, as well as with potential for development, bumping that up by another 50,000 felt prudent. No other changes. Let's see, no other changes there for 4502. 4503, we cut the legal services from 20 to 10,000 because we're getting down to, we only have one property that the Redevelopment Commission owns in Rail Connect right now. So the likelihood of needing any sort of legal services in the coming year is pretty low. We kept it for this year in case we had platting, or if we had other sorts of land deals dealing with Ambassador and so on, but that doesn't seem likely next year. On the same token, contracted services also would go down. And then training, which we had kept at $120,000, we dropped it down to 85 based upon the thought that if anybody comes in for a training grant, it'd probably only be one, which would be about that number. Of course, we could do transfers between funds if we have more than that. ADJOURN Union, no change there. That is based upon the tax revenue bonds that we're obligated to pay, so it is slightly higher than what we pay, but that covers any sort of service fees and so on. The Larwill TIF, no change whatsoever in it. Those are basically appropriated numbers. The actual cash on hand is, I believe, around $25,000 or so. So these are just there in case we have a huge project, wind up bonding for it. It's an appropriation there, so we don't have to go back and reappropriate. And then redevelopment Series A, which is the bond that still has funds in it. The budget amount there is exactly what the remaining balance is for that fund. So $399,774. And I think some cents, but it rounds the cents off. Any questions, thoughts? Okay. I think we need to
Motion,
have a no
To approve
motion,
budget,
yeah.
yep.
okay. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2026 budget.
Okay, I have a first. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a first and second. Any further discussion? There being none, all them in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, show the same. Let show that passed.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Now, I apologize on this next one because I might butcher this one word up pretty bad, but we'll try. Racetrack, vintage, drainage, replacement,
Vicinity.
vicinity, okay. I told you.
It's okay. I thought you were gonna butcher track because it's misspelled.
Nah, I kind of seen that.
Okay.
Okay, so this kind of came to light with the racetrack development. The gas station is going in and reviewing their development plans. I realized that, I think they're gonna try and pull up a map, but essentially I realized that I had misread the drainage patterns out there before our drainage project. I assumed that the water from like the car dealerships continued along the south side of US 30 to a culvert under US 30 where Page's Crossing is. Turns out that there's actually a culvert across US 30 on the east side of 300 East. So all that water comes in and joins with the racetrack parcel sooner than I expected. So I've got something now.
What exactly is the racetrack?
It's a gas station. That's just that's what they call the gas station. So
Oh, and it's going in there.
it's going.
Yeah. Yeah, the current ETA, they pushed it off a little ways, but the current ETA is this fall or spring.
Which parcel is it up there? The north one?
It is basically this area right here. So it's a
Okay.
portion of this parcel.
So is that Lincoln Point to the right there?
Lincoln
Yes.
points to the right.
So that's gonna be up in that corner?
Yep. Page's Crossing is down here.
Really?
So what Brad is talking about is
You can clearly see the culvert on there now. I
This?
wonder, so there's that one, and there's one that goes across 30 right there.
about
Yeah,
here.
you can see it. And I had missed that before. I don't know if the aerials weren't as good or if NDOT hadn't mowed in a while. I was also out there and I missed it while I was walking around, so,
So,
regardless.
so what that means then is City Ford, City Chevy should be included in this drainage calc.
In the southwest or southeast corner of the racetrack parcel instead of on the, so they should be included in the pipe that goes through the racetrack parcel.
Yeah.
Now, I thought at first that would have meant that it should have gone up to a 24-inch tile right there. So basically where that side tile comes in on the left side, kind of through the middle of that field on the left side, it goes down to a 24-inch there heading south. And then it's only a 24-inch for 100 feet or so, and then it switches to a 15-inch, and that continues through the middle of the racetrack parcel. Then it goes to a 10-inch. Basically, the 15-inch probably should have gone all the way to 300 East. Now, racetrack is coming in. They're going to replace all of it on their property up to a 24-inch. And then they're going to be discharging their pond into the 24-inch. But then that 24-inch is immediately going to go down to a 15-inch for like 200 feet. And their outlet pipe is actually, it's 18 inches, and that has to do with the difference differences in how we assume the rain falls within 24 hours. We basically both assumed that we would get just over 6 inches of rain in 24 hours, except my calcs are assuming it's uniform across those 24 hours. They assumed you would get 3 inches of that in 1 hour. So that kind of changes the calculations a little bit. So that's why they have an 18-inch pipe going into our 15-inch pipe, or into a 24-inch pipe into our 15-inch. So it's, I guess, it's not necessarily an ask, I'm just laying out the numbers. It would be, I guess, silly to pull out that brand new pipe, but I think it would help out if we were to replace 225 feet of 15-inch pipe with 24-inch pipe. It would cost approximately $4,000 to $5,000. Our original project was $15,000 under the original budget. And it would help out racetrack in any future developments. And there is the miscalculation of the watersheds to consider. So those are my thoughts on the numbers. I'm willing to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? It's gonna be done regardless, Brad? I mean, whether we do it or whether the racetrack does it?
Something has to be figured out, whether that's racetrack, upsizing their pond to downsize their outfall to meet the 15-inch requirements, which would also feel a little bad because they built it based on kind of some guidance, and now we're coming back and going against that guidance.
You said $4,000 to $5,000, is that?
Don't seem like it's,
No, yeah.
seems like it ought to be more than
Yeah,
that.
that's what I thought. I thought
I
maybe you
mean-
misspoke. Yeah.
Well, what would the commission like to do?
I think since it was our mistake and they went off of guidance, and I know obviously you did your best and you physically went out there, so I don't think it's your fault. Since the cost is small and we do have some left over, I think it would be appropriate, since they did do what we asked, but it was based on the wrong information. I think it would be fair to correct it to ensure there's no drainage issues.
Who would do the work?
I think we could
Would you self
pick a
perform?
contractor.
You'd hire a contractor
From
okay.
one of our list of contractors we do drainage work with.
Okay.
Since typically with drainage board projects, if it's below $5,000, we usually get the go ahead to
Okay.
And we
either
would,
get 3 quotes or just pick.
Yeah, so you could reimburse the county for that cost. That'd be appropriate spend of TIF.
to be clear, the drainage board is doing the work, and then just like we did with the other, they would submit invoice and we'd reimburse them. Okay.
Frank?
I agree, I think, for the cost and the fact that the project came in way under what we had originally estimated. I think we should correct that.
There's no way that you can put in another one and leave that one that's there in place?
Could do that. The only advantage would be that we're still using that 15-inch pipe. I'd have to figure out what size pipe we would need to go alongside it. It would just, it would save us from tearing out that old, or the brand new 15-inch pipe. I can have a look at it and see what
Okay.
Max thinks.
Well, I'm in favor of, we need to make it right. But I'd also like to see if there's a possibility of leaving that one in there, since if there's any use to it and value to leaving it there, fine. If not, then,
We'll have to do the same amount of digging, but,
right. Okay. Take a look at that and get back with us on that. Thank you. Anybody else have anything on that?
Are you gonna vote on Or are you waiting to see what leaving the other one in?
Well, I'm in favor of whatever he feels is the best way to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he says rip it out, but I'm just throwing that out there. It's a shame that we have to dig it up.
Right.
So, what's the commission in favor of doing that, or would you just want to take it out and put a new one in it and forget it?
Brad, do you think we should, my only concern is if we put another one in, then we have 2 pipes to maintain then, to keep, that's my only, what's your professional opinion?
I think it would be easier to, and cleaner to have just one pipe, but if, I could look up the cost savings.
Would it matter if we did it at our next meeting and discussed it again, or do you need an answer now?
I don't need an answer now. Racetrack still has some stuff to work out, with their development stuff, so I think we have time.
Okay.
Were you wanting to discuss this at the drainage board meeting next week?
I think that they'll be able to make this, to tell us to go ahead with that, with either
Okay.
option, because we probably won't put this out to bid, it'll probably just be, a couple of quotes from contractors.
So timing's not quite so critical because of that.
I think we could probably wait
Wait,
and see.
okay.
Yeah.
You okay with that, Frank?
Yep.
Okay, we'll wait, and next meeting, bring that back up to us, Brad. Okay, anything else on that? We'll move forward then. 600 East, Yellow River connection and road name.
So, last week we were discussing it. As you just said, 600 East Yellow River Connection Road is a mouthful, and it would be
Yes.
nice to have a name attached to this just for reference sake, that maybe it would become the road name once it's actually built. Teresa, you want to say what your suggestion is?
Yeah, I thought it would be a great idea to name it something like Overdeer Way or Overdeer Park. I know Bill was, well, I guess I didn't know, I mean, I think I was like a toddler when the TIF was formed, but Nathan, you shared that Bill was like influential in getting the TIF started.
Yes.
And he was, in county government for I think 38 years, something like that. An extraordinarily long time, and super lovable guy, obviously. So I know sometimes we don't necessarily know what to name it, or we leave it to the developer. Well, in this case, we are the developer, so I think it would be appropriate to honor
So-
Bill Overdeer.
So from a procedural standpoint, what I'm thinking, the Redevelopment Commission is just adopting a name for a project, and then once it actually is under construction, then commissioners have the statutory authority to formally name it. But presumably, if it's been referenced that way for however many years, it'd be an easy thing to say, yes, this is the name, so.
And I mentioned it to the other commissioners, and they thought it was a great idea too.
Yeah.
So,
We need to vote on that.
Yep.
I would move to change the Yellow River Connection road name to Overdeer Park.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I will second.
We have first and second. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same. Let it show that it passed.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question on that, unless we're moving to that road next, or I guess I could talk about it on my piece. Go ahead, sorry.
You want to talk about the road next?
Yeah, go ahead. Brad.
Well, my question was going to be, one of the alignment options I was looking at was to shift the road south a little ways so that it would line up with, I don't remember which block exactly, but it would be, it line up with the quarter mile in the section, and we would be able to call it, whatever it would be. I guess that would be 225 south or something like that, if we lined it up with that quarter mile. But if we're not, if that's kind of off the table, then I probably won't even consider lining it up with a quarter mile. Unless you guys want me to pursue that, if it keeps a nice grid.
We have other quarter and half mile roads, or a handful with names on them for various reasons, so I don't think this would fall outside that convention.
So I'll leave it in. Other than that, I have not worked on the connector at all. I've had some other more critical things pop up in the last couple weeks, so
Okay.
I'll try to have something more definitive by next time, if nothing else pops up.
Okay. Thank you, Brett. Okay, we'll move on then. Project Freedom.
So I have a note, or as noted from last time, I was going to get a quote from our demo contractor that's done some unsafe building work after talking with Scott regarding his qualifications. I'm kind of rethinking that and going to have to get some other quotes from demo contractors for that finish work that we discussed. Basically wasn't felt that he would be qualified enough for a project of this size. So that's still outstanding on my end. Do we have anything else?
I provided fire information to Andy. I don't know if you were able to reach out to him to get any.
The one thing I didn't know is what happens. So they burn down everything except the barn. What happens to the debris? Who's responsible for that?
I think that's kind of what he's working on, those,
Okay.
Yeah.
the rest of the demo part.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's what that is.
Yes.
Okay. So once we have, but they won't. The fire department won't be responsible for it.
No, I think that was what our agreement was when we originally talked about it a month ago, that they would be in charge of getting it reduced, but we would still have to get it out of there.
Okay.
Because we'll still have foundations to remove that the fire department won't be.
Okay. I can finalize that agreement then for the next meeting.
And I do have a map for you, I just didn't send it
Okay.
yet. I'll give it to you if you can hang out for a minute,
Sure.
so I can email it to you.
Yeah. Just email it to me.
Is there any more on the barn?
Well, we had one kind of interesting idea that would be to reuse it, remodel it, either in place or move it and remodel it. So that's, I'm mentioning it because it's an idea, but it's very pie in the sky. I did post photos for what it's worth on Facebook, asking, does anybody want a barn? Got one interested person from Coatesville, which is down west of Indianapolis, but I haven't talked with him yet. So that's for relocating. Other than that, no, I haven't had more progress. Teresa, have you had anybody contact you from your? Okay.
The only one I've had is that Mr. Sittler called me again, wanted to know if there's, where we was at on that. And I said, well, I didn't know, I'd let him know. But
Yeah.
I know at the time Andy had to work up some kind of a,
I've got stuff ready to go, but I know we kind of shifted gears a little bit since
Right.
then. So
Yeah.
if you go back to that, I have the forms ready.
okay. Well, he just wanted to know because he hires some high school kids, so.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but I don't think having just the barn on the property would kill a deal if we had somebody really interested in the property. And we could move quickly if we had to, I think, so.
Okay. 600 East, Yellow River Connection. You already did that. 100 South, reconstruction, paving.
Continuing to do utility coordination. I've heard back from NIPSCO and Brightspeed and Zio. The only potential conflict is with Brightspeed, so I'll work that out for the next set of plans, and I'll continue to reach out to SURF and MediaCom and
Okay.
see. And REMC is the other one. They've hopefully moved their towers all out of the way. Just need to confirm that that's the case and confirm that if we have to splash some dirt around the base of their tower for an embankment, that that's okay.
Anything else on that? Well, the next ones, I don't, since Dale's not here.
Yeah, he didn't let me know anything more about any of the rest of them, so.
Okay. Well, then we'll go down to miscellaneous matters. Anybody have anything?
Do we have any more updates on the rural broadband situation? Do we know how that's progressing?
The BEAD funding came out. Did I talk about this at the last meeting, or maybe it was right after? So the county was almost entirely funded in the first round. And as far as the actual providers, it was very preliminary information that was given out. I'm not exactly sure because they're obviously the applicant, not the county. But if you look, I can show you a picture after the meeting actually. Almost the entire county, we're the first or second county to get the most funding in the entire state.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing really well.
I think you did refer to it. I just wondered how that was.
Yeah,
that was
it's
moving along.
since it's federal dollars, it's going to be a long build-out time, but at least we're moving in that direction. I know it's slow. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Reminder, at least I think this is still scheduled, the Ultra Business Tour is slated for the 20th at 10 a.m. So I think Dale still has to make absolutely sure of that, but that was my understanding of the date and time that it was going to be.
What was that time?
10 o'clock on the 20th,
Okay.
which is next Tuesday.
Did you want to speak?
Well, you know, I almost feel like this is the third meeting that we've came to, and all this is falling on deaf ears. Back in the early 20s, we were put into an industrial corridor, which we didn't ask for. We were put in a TIP district that we didn't ask for. And now you're gonna put a racetrack gas station right next to a brand new housing addition that's gonna include drainage, when Love's Truck Stop has already offered to purchase our 10 acres that's in the industrial corridor, the TIF district, and now NDOT is gonna put a cul-de-sac that we don't want in front of our house. We would just as soon have it a dead end if we have to stay there. Our taxes have been raised, we have 10 acres we can't sell. And it's like, why are we in this industrial corridor if we're not developing it? We're going outside of it with SDI to the south of 30, American Landmaster to the south of 30, and a J channel in front of an elementary school. And nobody really knows what NDOT's gonna close or what they're not gonna close, but we did REMC's solar panels right on 30. We're doing a gas station right on 30. Why can't we sell our property to NDOT, and why isn't Whitley County approaching either Governor Braun or NDOT and say, we need to do something about this? Because if they put a buffer so there's no cross traffic, there's not gonna be a light there. All the lights have happened since they put that light in on County Line and 30. That enables us to sell our property with a right in and a right out. It gives a truck driver a place to stay because they're gonna move the Marathon Station on the southeast corner of US 30 down to Butt Road is what we hear. You know, this truck stop of Love, I don't know how many of you people travel, but they don't look crappy. And they're good for the community, they're good for the tax base, and we get to move someplace that's a little more healthier and a little more handicapped accessible because neither one of us are in good condition. And I would like somebody to explain to me why we can't develop that area that you guys, well, maybe not you guys, but your committee made an industrial corridor. I don't get it. We've lived next to SDI for 25 years and we're ready to leave. We get a good offer, $615,000 is what they offered us to get out of there, and they could develop that property. They're not asking the county for nothing. They've already told NDOT that they would help do the deceleration and the acceleration, but yet the state and the county have to pay for SDI to do all the things they want to do to keep them happy, but it doesn't refer to anybody that's lived there for 41 years. If you look around Union Township, a lot of those people don't live there anymore. Mrs. McDivitt doesn't live there anymore.
I have a question.
I just want somebody to explain something to me.
And why can't you sell it to them?
Because they're gonna landlock us. We're right on the corner, and they're gonna put a cul-de-sac in front of our house, so
Oh,
you have
because
no
of Highway
access
30?
to 30. But you can put a racetrack gas station right across from a new housing development and US 30, and it's okay? I don't get it.
I'm just,
Wasn't it Love's that decided that they wouldn't go there if there was no direct access to 30?
Exactly.
So that's, I think.
But if they did a right-in, do away with the intersection, do away with the light. You do a right-in on County Line, you go into Love's, you get your fuel, you spend the night, you get whatever you need, your gas, whatever. You come back out on County Line, you do a right out, and you continue to Columbia City, Chicago, or whatever. And they're willing to pay for that. I've cried for 2 weeks, and at this point, I'm just getting upset because nobody's listening. My father-in-law, his father sold 10 acres for US 30 to go in. And you either sell what the state wants to offer, or they just claim eminent domain. The state's not buying our corner, Willie County's not buying our corner, but yet we're an industrial corridor that's not being developed.
Was the racetrack gas station, I mean, they just came in, and was that a private purchase over there? I don't, yeah, that's what I thought.
It is.
Yeah, we weren't involved in that one. That was just one landowner selling to another landowner.
But the thing is, though, this has been 25 years an industrial corridor, and nobody has developed it. Now we have somebody that wants to buy our property because we're the last one at the end of that corridor. I mean, McCoy's have come from Washington Center Road, or Lincoln Way, because they bought his brother 60 acres. So we're right in the middle of an industrial corridor with nowhere to go. And SDI is gonna have you guys close county lines so that they don't have their employees buying CDLs to cross the line. And then in Allen County, eventually they're gonna get permitted for a smelting plant, and we deserve to live there. I invite you all to come look at our property and look at our windows that are now gray and our lawn furniture that needs to be power washed every year. It's not a healthy environment. We both have nodules on our thyroid, and I have an appointment July 8th to go to IU to have my lungs checked because there's lesions on it. All we want to do is move. I don't care if the county buys it, I don't care if the state buys it, but we want to move. He's a fall risk, our house isn't handicapped accessible, and we want to move. Let somebody else buy it and just grow up into nothing, but it's not a family farm anymore.
So the property in question is this
Goes all the way
area.
back, all the way back to that little pond on the left there,
Yeah.
right underneath that sign,
Those 3 parcels together.
yeah. It totals 10 acres with the 3
We had
parcels.
2 1/4. My sister-in-law sold us the one that's north of the one on the corner, and then we bought 7 acres off of his brother that go to the back.
That next field to the left there.
So I know we've talked about infrastructure before, getting infrastructure out, and by that I mean water and sewer. Well, SDI, you guys know, SDI has water and sewer to the plant. Everything east of 700 East is SDI's own. So for us to be able to get existing water and sewer down to this point, we've talked about getting it up to Union 12 before, you probably have recalled that. The next nearest is basically over here at 600 East at the lift station. taking it up and over Lincoln Way and down, or intercepting the force main that we put in right here at 700, crossing US 30, and then coming back, and so on. So you've got quite a bit of a distance. Just right here is a mile, of course. And if you come along Lincoln Way, it's basically almost 3 miles worth of sewer infrastructure. Water is a little closer, and you wouldn't have to cross 30. It comes, I believe it comes along the north side of 30, so you could intercept it here and take it rather than crossing 30. But so to get water and sewer back to this property, at least from what you would be involved with as a public infrastructure project, those are the lengths that you would be going to. Benefit, you'd put all the intervening properties onto water and sewer, and we've talked, again, when we talked about serving Union 12, we talked about benefits and cost of doing so.
And our neighbors had their water tested and there's arsenic in the well.
Alternatively, and we again had talked about it when SDI, when we were dealing with the force main project for SDI, Aqua or Fort Wayne Water and Sewer could also come across from Allen County, mixing up the service territories, but that could be another possibility as well. So.
And the neighborhood was never even notified that Union 12 was gonna do fireworks. So when our son came back from Iraq, he was living with us at the time and they're shooting off fireworks and he's just going nuts. You know, so much stuff is getting developed and none of it's in that corridor, none of it.
Well, the Union 12's in the corridor.
No, it's not, it's on the other side of the road. It's the north side of Lincoln Way.
Yeah, the green area here is Union TIF, which is the entire TIF. It goes from one side of Union Township to the other. So you've got the racetrack parcel is located right here, for example, Park 30, and so on. Rail Connect is the purple one.
And for NDOT, there's a lot of other roads that they could close other than county line. You know, the industrial park there at where REMC's at and 8020, they have access both to Lincoln Way and to US 30. And by limiting the access to US 30, you're putting all that traffic on Lincoln Way, and people don't slow down on Lincoln Way, and you have trucks on Lincoln Way, you have all kinds of cars on Lincoln Way, and nobody follows the speed. Again, this morning, coming here for this meeting, we got to Coessie and had to throw our four-ways on because the speed limit's 40 when the lights are blinking and nobody slows down. So we're done being where we're at. We want to move closer to town and pay more taxes and at least be able to enjoy what life we have left.
I appreciate your frustration, but you understand that the Redevelopment Commission doesn't have anything to do with that decision about closing that intersection.
Well, no, but y'all discuss everything else.
Okay.
We just want an answer from somebody because Marlon Stetzman can't help. Apparently Teresa is the only one that's given us any feedback on anything. But it takes more than one person calling all our elected officials to say, NDOT needs to be reeled in because this is money that's affecting Whitley County as a whole, Columbia City as a whole. It's just not the Trac family. It's the whole community, and we didn't live here for 41 years because we hated it. I grew up in Huntington, and I moved to the family farm, and our youngest son graduated third in his class. So it's not from the fact that we just, you know, want something to complain about. We need to move. We need to move.
Okay, well, only thing I can tell you is to keep talking to your legislators and see what they can help you with it. But as far as the commission's concerned, we can't do a whole lot. So we need to move on. So at this time, is there any other miscellaneous matters? There being none, we need to do claims.
No, I'll let you explain it.
Okay, so the first one here is for the remaining funds from, actually, I think it's the entire balance for Ultra's training grant. Per the agreement, it was up to $140,000. So this is the list of employees, and the amount spent on training totals $142,000 and some dollars. They'll get us a formal invoice to pay from, but we're presenting this to you just for the amount to be approved, and then Tiffany will get you the formal invoice to pay from when they get that to us. And then, yeah.
Nathan, you said 142?
140 is the agreement
Okay.
amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their total training expense, you can't hardly see it up in that dark upper right. It was like 285,000. But our agreement was for 140 as a maximum number.
Yeah. And then the second one is the redevelopment share of the aerial photography flight from flown last year, so that's a 3-year agreement with them. So that amount of $6,000 is the agreed upon share.
Does that add on the claims?
Yeah,
We didn't have any legal expenses?
I didn't have anything that I've.
I'm sure we will next time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're just waiting, I would move that we approve claims.
Okay, we have a first, is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All of them opposed, the same. We have minutes to approve,
In my absence last week, I did not get them finished.
okay? Is there anything else? Anybody in the audience have anything else to say? Teresa? Frank?
No, sir.
Nathan?
Nope.
There being none, we're adjourned.
Thank you.